really relies on having a big burst potential at the end. If Shaman can keep itself at a healthy life total, certainly in a better place.
Well, speaking of burst, this is not an ordinary Shaman deck.
Oh
this
my
is, of course, one of the ones that is running Lava Burst as well. So does that change anything for you, or does that kind of keep things the same?
Lava Burst, it helps a lot. Obviously, it helps counter Ancients and allows you to build your board after that. I'm not sure how much Lava Burst does when your opponent's got an Innervate Yeti and a Wild Growth in their opening hand, though.
That's the tricky part here. So, all right, we're going to see probably a pass turn here. He's even running Spellbreaker. That's not a card that I've seen in Shaman in a long time.
Yeah, it is. That's an interesting little flavor they've added to it.
Yeah, Spellbreaker sort of indicates to me that he's aimed this a little bit more at control.
Yeah.
So this actually might be a little bit weaker versus Druid, but again, it can kind of make that up with Lava Burst, get some good swing turns in there.
And Haunted Creeper over that totem. Not a big shock early on to see that go down. And now we're going to start to see the cards coming out. Chewin' Yeti, he's even got the opportunity to go for another Wild Growth, but I don't think you can pass up playing this Yeti.
Well, why not innervate out that Black Knight? You can just get that out there right now.
He's a 4/5 and
that's
he's
a legendary
golden,
card.
So yeah, that's
gonna
right.
cost you 6 mana too. It's way off curve next turn.
You're right, absolutely. Well, there's
some solid draws already from Firebat here, and some not solid draws from Hype. Hype actually picked up Black Knight and Wild Growth, and the second Wild Growth is something you kind of don't want to see. Obviously, you want 2 of them in there because you want to draw one on turn 2. But this draw, I feel like it's been stunted very early, and Hyped is going to be fighting from behind pretty much until he gets a really big turn with Ancient War or something.
It's kind of starting to seem that way. Well, there's Spectral Knight, and I mean, you'd have to, well, yeah, I guess he doesn't need to innervate to throw that out there. And that, wouldn't be a bad option. Yeah, he could just play it. I think that's going to be what he's going to want to do.
It is a good draw, considering where he's at. The rest of his hand is not that great right now. Unless his opponent plays something like Sledge Belcher to walk into the Black Knight, his hand doesn't have a lot of heavy-hitting anything yet.
Yeah.
Normally, when you're playing Druid, the cards you do want to see in your opening hand are Wild Growth and Innervate. And he had Wild Growth and Innervate, so that looked really good. But by the time you draw another Wild Growth, by the time you draw a situational card like Black Knight, by the time you draw another card that you don't usually use very early on like Savage Roar, you're like, I wish these were cards that just did something instead of just making mana.
Yeah. How about, is it worth innervating to kill this this Blood Mage, by the way?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because obviously Spell Power isn't really a problem for Spectral Knight, but that is why I was thinking of doing that, because now Flame Tongue Totem, he can get the damage done, and he can also get the draw even if he wants to off of Thalnos.
I think he's going to keep his, I think he wants the Thalnos on the board still.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need to pick up a card draw here. His hand's pretty much strong the whole way through.
Well, yeah, he could use this with Rockbiter to not even have to run Thalnos into it.
Right. He can keep both. He can attack into the face for 6, leave a pretty strong board. It would be very soft to swipe, but if he's okay with that possibility, even if his board does get swiped, his opponent wouldn't be playing anything into the board, and he'd be able to follow it up immediately with an Azure Drake. It would be a very, very powerful play.
Yep, so he is going to go ahead and clear up the Spectral Knight.
He wants to save his Rockbiter, though, so he doesn't use the Rockbiter. And it looks like he is going to use his Blood Mage because he's playing the Totem over there. That does seem like the most likely thing here. He'll just go ahead and take it out with the minions he has in play. So he does get to save his Rockbiter, but he loses the Blood Mage on board. But this is a good hedge against something like Swipe.
Speaking of the devil.
Speak of the devil.
There you go,
so it actually, to his benefit, holding on to the Rockbiter, very, very smart from Firebat. The possibility of that swipe, he just wanted to make sure if his opponent did have it that he would have a better follow-up with the Rockbiter still in hand.
Looking at that hand, you do have to swipe here. There's really no other play. It's swipe and then hero power, right?
I mean, instinctively, yeah, but this is...
Would you save it?
Well, playing quickly in these kinds of positions, this is usually how you end up making a mistake, is you just make obvious plays and kind of go from there. Neither of these players play that way. They always think through everything.
Well, it's good I mean, you can make your decision, but then there's no reason to actually go through with it. It's always worth waiting a little while.
Yeah, so instinctively swipe, obviously very good here. You're not getting a ton of value from it, because this is just like leftover stuff that you're killing and hero powers. But not the worst. It feels bad for him because he's not actually doing anything. He's just he's playing responsively, or like he's playing in as response, and you want to be the proactive one.
Well, this is what happens when you have the draws that he does, after the, relatively strong start, Wild Growth, Yeti, but then since then it's been pretty much drawing dead right up until the swipe, and even the swipe, like you said, it manages the board, but it doesn't really get you any sort of advantage.
Yep.
Right, and in this case, like Admirable said, it's really only trading 1 for 1. He gets to trade his swipe for that Flame Tongue Totem. The rest is just scraps, totems, things that don't really cost a card. What that means is that the Shaman is going to be able to continue to have sort of this card advantage as the game goes on, and he's sitting at 30 life. He's not worried about getting bursted down. Once he starts playing things like those Azure Drakes in hand, it's going to be really scary.
This is the other thing I was thinking about is there's 2 other ways to play this. You can just use your hero power on the 1 health guys, or you can also use a hero power on the Flame Tongue Totem, and then hero power the Flame Tongue Totem next turn and swipe whatever he plays. Those are 2 other options. So
all right, playing a little bit slower.
Yeah, really good to think through those lines. Oh my goodness, this hand is getting better and better.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good choices here, but Lotheb looks like it's going to be it.
And the reason he's considering playing it over there to the left is because he's worried about the possibility of Big Game Hunter. So Big Game Hunter, of course, it kills something that has 7 or more. He wants to keep it out of that range. So he plays it off to the left. Now, his opponent could still use Big Game Hunter, though.
I mean, he could still hero power. And,
that card is exactly what Hype needed, by the way.
Yeah, he really did.
Keeper the Grove, and okay, Druid of the Claw. Yeah, he gets 2 pretty useful minions out of that. Yeah. All right, Sylvanas the draw now for Firebat.
I feel like Rockwider's going to get used this turn.
Yeah, he saved it from earlier. Now he has the opportunity to go for it again. He can't avoid his Lotheb being in Big Game Hunter range.
He really couldn't last turn either, though, because hero power to kill the token and then you Big Game Hunter afterwards.
He could have put the Azure Drake between the Lotheb and the token.
Oh, you're right. You could have done it that way, yeah.
I feel like because he didn't get Big Game Hunter last turn, like if his opponent had Big Game Hunter, could have hero powered the 3/1 and then use Big Game Hunter anyway.
Exactly.
His read here is that his opponent just doesn't have it.
Right.
I think that's a pretty accurate read, too. We know it is, and he'll get 7 damage under the face. That's going to bring his opponent down to 15 already. That's going to be
Lava Burst, too.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit worrisome for Hype now.
Well, there's the Big Game Hunter.
Wow, what a draw. Right into it. He can take out Lotheb, no problem. But after that, what do you do?
Well, it looks like he can also swipe the Drake and then he can innervate Keeper the Flame Tongue Totem if you want to take it out, or he can just continue to play it slow and keep, because the Flame Tongue, again, by itself, we saw earlier, it getting stranded is not a big deal. You're not worried about that at all. But for sure, this is happening, and then I'd be astonished if he didn't use swipe on this Azure Drake.
Well, this is going to be his only Big Game Hunter target all game anyway. So yeah, you definitely got to do that. And, swiping that Azure Drake.
Yeah, he needs board presence right now. So
okay. Wow, what a huge turnaround actually for Hype. Clearing the board and then getting 2 pretty decent minions out there too.
Ancient of Lore really making a difference this game.
Oh yeah. Doing what it does. And so looking back at Firebat's hand now, I mean, no real targets for Spellbreaker right now. Spellbaker, it sounds like he's like making magical cakes or something. But Azure Drake, you know, probably a decent place. See what you draw into. What do you think?
I feel like Azure Drake's better than Sylvanas.
Yeah. Well, Sylvanas, I mean, it's so likely if you played Sylvanas now that you just wouldn't get anything for it.
You know, I say that though, but he's done a really good job at choking out Hype's cards so far. So Sylvanas just acting as kind of like a 5/5 taunt, I don't think is that bad. He's going to leave your opponent on 3 cards. You're still at 29, and that's if he chooses to go for the Sylvanas. If he chooses to go for your face, it means he's going to probably means he's not going to develop very much because he doesn't want you to get value out of Sylvanas. So it makes a lot of sense to play that. In that regard, but it looks like he really wants to play the Snowwish Inventor.
I guess so. I mean, if you're going to play for something for the draw,
wow. Does that mean he's not lava bursting either?
Yeah, that's what I was
so
wondering.
He doesn't play Azure Drake because he doesn't want it to get threatened by the Big Game Hunter.
I suppose. All right, so answering with a 2/4 of himself. Yep, Force of Nature. He's got the combo actually right now.
It's 24 damage right now.
Okay, yeah, it's not quite enough.
It would be pretty crazy if you could just take him out from 29 right now.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's like with Druid, you never know. It gets close. Like mid-20s, you can get really close to killing somebody.
I actually still kind of like comboing right now. I mean, putting him down to 5 is. You have hero power and Druid of the Cloud and Druid of the Charge next turn. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Wow, I like it.
You can draw into a swipe as well,
too. Look at how much damage this is. 24 when he's been fighting from behind the entire game.
This is amazing. He's down to 5 health
right now. He has no taunt in his hand either.
And that's the thing. It's like this was a popular play with the Strife Crow Druid, you know, with the sort of token-based one that we saw come out of Nax, is that a lot of times you would combo early just to get them low enough to finish off easily.
If he doesn't make a taunt totem, this game's just over.
Yeah, pretty much. Literally. And he's got to go for it. He knows. He's got to know that, you know, even if he clears these minions, he needs taunt too. And that might mean he has to use, I suppose, Lava Burst to kill the Keeper of the Grove almost, just to get rid of it. Yeah, this is a gross turn for Firebat, man. He's going to see what he draws into with this Azure Drake. What could it be?
It's like if he'd played Azure Drake and the Big Game Hunter would have ran in the Azure Drake, he'd be in a better position this game. If he just would have sacrificed the Azure Drake.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. And now you have to Lava Burst his Keeper.
Wow, and that's going to be game 1.
Oh, I know.
Going over to Hyped. What a comeback.
Seriously, being down so far, having like dead draws like 4 or 5 turns in a row, but Keeper of, or rather Druid of the Claw in charge form, plus the hero power, exactly 5 damage.
Wow.
And he will take game 1. Hyped, getting an early lead in this series.
fantastic play. He recognized that he was so close with lethal just by the amount of pressure he had on the board. And gosh, that Savage War combo,
I know.
so good when you have board presence going into turn 9. And that's why it's so important to keep these minions in check. So you saw he didn't want to sacrifice the Azure Strike from the big game hunter, but the sacrifice you're making in that position a lot of times.
Use that Zoo deck to tie things up here. Game number 2, Firebat versus Hyped. We are in the game. We're looking at the mulligans, and check that out. Wow, the coin with the Undertaker Leper Gnome start. You really can't ask for more than that.
You really can't. It's a really powerful start. Hyped on the other side of it. He's trying to consider what his best choices are, what his best chances are. Swipe is a card that can be good against things like Zoo, but he knows that probably his best chance against Zoo is to get something like an Innervate into his hand and something really powerful to do with that Innervate. Something along the lines of Keeper of the
There's
Grove.
Keeper and an Innervate.
Oh,
wow. It just shows you how important it is. That Shady Next Rhombus, I mean, this is a 3-drop that he's mulliganing here, and this is one of the earliest drops he actually has in his deck. Is Shady Next Rhombus, but it's so important to be having something like Keeper of the Grove because you're constantly fighting from behind because Zoo has so many efficient minions that are coming down early. It's just, without that combination of cards in his hand, it just snowballs so badly. And though he has the Keeper, it still might snowball a little bit out of control because he's got something like Big Game Hunter in his hand.
And he had the opportunity to grow his Undertaker right here. Instead, he plays out the more powerful in the immediate.
And that's why right there.
Picks up Wrath too.
Yep. You want to make it hard for your opponent to choose Wrath, but he's just going to innovate out the Keeper instead, get it too far on the board, and remove a minion anyway.
I like killing the Flame Imp here a lot since you picked up the Wrath. Because even if Undertaker grows, you still have an answer to it. Wow, he picks up a second Undertaker too.
That is pretty good, but if you're going to have a hand that fights against it, Hype does have it available right now. So he will be able to kill one of the Undertakers. He can even kill the Leper Gnome outright and still have a 2-2 in play. His opponent will, of course, have the Undertaker. It will probably grow one more time.
Savage Roar is an interesting draw. Is there any merit to using it this turn?
That's a good question, actually, because it would let you clear both Undertakers, wouldn't it? You know, and that's kind of the big thing you're worried about.
You're going to be missing once you jump the hero power.
Oh, you're right.
But it lets you clear Leper Gnome. So the risk versus reward is that one of the... Well, I guess one's going to be staying on the board either way.
Yeah, I mean...
You just get an extra clear here. It prevents the Leper Gnome from like dealing you a ton of damage is what it does. I mean, I guess you can just use his Keeper for that, but it's like... It still feels...
It feels kind of
this
gross.
is way better. I mean, your Undertaker's just killing the Keeper directly this turn, but he has to, then if it doesn't grow, you just get to use your hero power on it.
It's still not bad to kill 2 of the 3 minions on the board. I mean, yeah. All right.
I wonder if keeping Wrath is just better just for mana considerations though. Like Savage War gets so little value in this matchup unless you're actually going to kill him with it.
Well, that's a really good point too. And I mean, Wrath has a potential to do 3 damage, and it has a potential to cycle as well too. So definitely a bit more valuable of a card. Oh,
well,
okay. There we go.
Now
he can survive for that.
Okay, he just decides to play out the Big Game Hunter.
Yep.
That
Might
means
as well.
that this Undertaker is going to continue to grow. Now the point at which it's at 4 attack, it'll essentially be have been a turn 1 Yeti, but it took until turn 4 to get it there.
Yeah. Soulfire's a pretty bad draw, by the way.
Yeah, Soulfire, not what he was looking for.
Rubian Eggs.
Very likely will end up being a dead card.
Continues to pick up Death Rattle minions. That Undertaker's going to get out of control.
He is getting really scary, and yeah, even though he's kind of like a Yeti at this point, he gets to attack for 4 on turn 4, so he's got 1 up on the Chillwind Yeti, man.
That's true. Well, Innervate Yeti, of course, a Druid staple.
You can never, I mean, yeah, Innervate Yeti, always a consideration, but.
Or my old favorite in Druid, Ancient Watcher Silence.
Oh my gosh, is he going to Soulfire?
Oh,
he pitches the Doom Guard.
I think we've seen that every time this tournament.
Doom Guards have not survived the Soulfire turns very well, have they, in this tournament? No.
Pretty much every time. But it's a 4-3.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even going to get the work done. How different would this game have been if he had used Savage Roar on 3 instead of Wrath 2? Because he actually would have been able to take out this second Undertaker.
Well, I guess silencing the Undertaker is not that bad either. It's not as good as killing it outright.
Sure.
But
it's pulling 3 power off the board if you choose to silence it.
I mean, now you've got really...
Yeah, because you're silencing it, and then you're also preventing it from growing bigger later on, too.
His opponent's pressure is almost gone. If that egg doesn't find a way to activate anytime soon...
Oh, well, hey, what do you know?
Speak of the devil again.
All right, well, I mean, there's still ways out of it, but even with that right there...
Wait, hang on, he should life tap here first.
Totally life tap, yeah.
All right, well, Dark Iron Dwarf would have been nice, but
if you're going to draw on a turn, you always want to be doing that first. So it's kind of a good general rule of thumb for Hearthstone, right? Because you want to give yourself the most options to play each turn.
This is really weak to swipe, though.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't have an option, though. I think he just kind of has to go for it. Again, his pressure's dwindled down to this point. If his opponent doesn't have swipe, he's in a fantastic shape now. Yeah. But it's sort of something you got to play into.
You have to take that risk. You know, at some point when you're playing Zoo or any sort of aggressive deck, you have to take that risk.
Yeah, this Savage Roar is going to get stranded in his hand.
Yep.
Yep.
looking that way. I mean, he's got 3 turns before he can combo, and that would be like for board clear at this point. And by the time that happens, he could very well be dead. Like, look at just really not a lot of plays. I mean, you got board clear with this, and that's about it.
The Ruby and Egg pulling some major weight.
Oh yeah,
in this game.
Well, 2 mana, it basically gets rid of a 6 mana card from his opponent. That's pretty good value.
Oh, power overwhelming. Well, opponent at 19, probably not there yet.
Power overwhelming is good for pushing through. Druid of the Claw should have come up though.
Yep, it really is.
Important.
And he gets to put another 4 power guy into play. The last one is gone, but
well, he knows his opponent doesn't have swipes, so why not?
They call that a weapon harvest golem.
Yep. Weapon harvest golem? What?
You call that a weapon?
Yeah, oh, call that a weapon.
Oh man, that's true.
And there's true.
Yeah, hey, how about
we're just calling
wow.
it today. We need to buy some lottery tickets or something because we're just going crazy on these.
Do you play it though?
Lottery tickets, not bad. BlizzCon tickets, even better.
Oh, wow, nice plug there. That was
Firebat is
smooth,
not ready to give up, and he's trying to equalize this series.
Yeah.
Do you just heal for 5? Is that actually your best play?
Have things gotten that bad? I think they may have. Yeah. I think they may have actually gotten that bad.
I don't think you can afford to draw for cards. You're staring down 4, 5, 6, 7. You're staring down 8 damage when you're at 13 health.
The other option is to charge your Druid of the Claw into the Dark Iron Dwarf and then hero power, so you have 1 extra quote-unquote effective health. Yeah. Maybe run it into the Harvest Golem too. What do you think?
I think you're going to have to taunt it at some point in this game and just hope that your opponent doesn't have power overwhelming.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
You're lacking so much if you choose to charge it. It's just you're 1-for-1-ing. I think he's got to get more than 1-for-1 because your opponent's drawing 2 cards a turn and you're drawing 1.
So would you just heal them this turn?
I think you have to heal.
Yeah.
I hope that this actually gets in more than 1 attack or something.
Really unsure. Hyped. Thinking this one through pretty hard. What do you think, Reels?
Well, there isn't a great way to do it. You are in a very, very scary position and you know it. So Hyped is trying to figure out what his best way to do it is. Neither of them feel great, and that's why he's stressing over this decision so much. He can't decide which is better and which way it could play out to win. He thinks he's maybe even likely to lose. It is a scary board that Firebat has built up, and in the end, it looks like he is probably just going to heal. And
he's pained to not draw 2 cards.
I know.
I think he's got to do it, though.
And he needs the cards so bad, too, but right at this particular moment, he needs that 5 health a little bit more.
Abusive Sergeant. He keeps getting minion buffs, too.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just yet another way where he can clear these minions out really, really efficiently and keep a strong board.
If he picks up Soulfire, this game's actually over. Or another power overwhelming.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, Knife Juggler. All right.
It's a Knife
Still
Juggler instead.
a really good one.
Pretty good. He can't play every minion this turn if he does it, but even if he does decide to use the power overwhelming to trade efficiently.
Looks like he will, yeah. Yep. Why not Silence Undertaker? Not going to be doing you a whole lot more good this game.
And he could have done it on the Haunted Creeper, but he's again sort of hedging against the possibility of AE removal. He knows he's so far ahead that as long as he maintains that advantage and keeping those death rattles alive is one of the ways to make sure he doesn't lose his whole board to some crazy combination of cards.
Oh man, I don't know what Hype needs to draw, but he needs to draw it right now or this game's going to end. Black Knight is certainly not it.
No, I think this one's pretty much over, man. I mean, he can put up that Druid of the Claw as taunt. He can get like a little bit more armor out of his hero power, but even then, I really doubt that's going to be enough.
Yeah, I think this one's over.
Well, he can even
maybe he can live for another turn.
Even Savage Roar and kill the Knife Juggler and make sure that there are no knives coming out. That is one of the most efficient 2-mana guys in the game in terms of pure damage. So he could get that out of there, but he'd be at 7, power overwhelming on the guy. Nope, he's actually dead. Just the Abuse Sergeant.
He's just done.
Yeah,
he'd be. As far as he knows, he'd be alive at 1 life, and he knows that Warlocks can find 1 damage.
Well, if he taunted with Druid of the Claw and then used his hero power, that'd be 11 health effectively, and then he'd have 6 that his opponent would have to burn through. I mean, he could do that with his Dark Iron Dwarf, and then
he's getting all the activations from the minions.
Yeah,
resummoning too. If he doesn't kill the Knife Juggler, there's just too many things to think about. He's just been. This is just checkmate, I think.
Yeah.
Still going to struggle to find the right play though, because it's something that's very important to do. You always want to be playing all of the best plays that you possibly can.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you've got this time in your turn. There's no reason to try to rush yourself, right? Yeah. If you rush yourself through a turn, that's like the best way to lose a game.
Yep. This is probably his best chances to do it this way.
All right, gets rid of the Knife Juggler. A lot of damage out there for his opponent.
Yep, 10 damage.
Yep, he's got the Abusive Sergeant in his hand, and so that means Firebat coming back with the Zoo Warlock. He's going to tie up this series 1-1. We have got ourselves a match, man.
Would we have expected any less?
No, of course not. Yes. We said it was going to be close, and it is close.
Yeah, if you'd have picked me to stay with this match is going to be, I would have said 3-2, but I have no idea what I picked. It's pretty close to even. I think this is like one of the most closely matched tournament matches I think that I've ever seen, not just in this tournament, but in tournaments in general. And wow,
it is crazy to see the first and second seeds fighting here right for the spot for BlizzCon. It's not like they had to play earlier. My turn now.
Off the turnbuckle.
Real, such an epic co-caster. You're just on my mind all the time, man.
Let me change your mind.
Admirable. You're fighting for a place. All right.
Cabal Admirable Priest.
Let's watch these guys fight it out to see who takes the lead in this best of 5.
There are certain kinds of hands where Priest doesn't have an advantage. And Ysera Mind Control might be one of them.
I think it probably is, yes.
Holy Nova can still clear the board out, though. I mean, you're going to take a lot of damage. Of Defender of Argus might be the perfect card to draw when your opponent's got a Holy Nova in their hand. Thought Steal not a good one either. No early minion pressure here. He's going to need some help because he's already going to be falling far behind with the Knife Juggler.
This is so rough, man. There's Void Terror, Knife Juggler going to come down, and the damage starts to pile on for this Leper Gnome.
It is a really strong start for the Warlock player. Coin Dark Cultist is not bad. That is one of the plays that you want to have early, but his follow-ups after that are not looking like they're going to be particularly strong.
Oh yeah, this Dark Cultist is going to be handled so easily too that you do have to put it out there, but you just feel so bad doing it. Do you think we might just see him Hero Power Pass, just heal?
I think there's a chance we see it, but I think Dark Cultist, given his hand context, I think he's got to play the Dark Cultist here. Obviously, he's worried about like a Juggler hit and then just only trading for the Juggler and Leper Gnome, still continuing to pressure. But what else are you going to do here? Like, you're going to Thought Steal like an Undertaker and Abusive Sergeant?
Thought Steal into a Soulfire and kill the Leper Gnome, or not the Leper Gnome, kill the Knife Juggler.
He needs a Thought Steal in like a Fiery War Axe and
Thought Steal from like Tides of Time's Warrior deck. It's like, can I borrow this for a second? Yeah.
Thought Steal Akanai Circle.
There you go.
Cards.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
How
Where
did
did this
that
come
happen?
from? Yeah.
Well, speaking of Soulfire.
Yeah, well, one drawn now for Firebat, so he's got that, and that's a great way to get rid of the Dark Cultist and keep your board alive.
Now, what I'm curious about is if he's actually going to use Void Terror this turn.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Void Terror is that bad. It's going to get Shadow Word Death sometimes, but that clears your way for the Doom Guard later.
I'd be so worried, though, about Shadow Word Death, because, I mean, if you lose that, then, yeah, I mean, you do go into the Doom Guard, but that's not for, like, 2 turns, so...
The alternative is Life Tap, which I guess if you Life Tap, you keep the... you're going to keep... Oh, my goodness.
Whoa,
Doom Guard gets discarded.
See, Soulfire, it's just like targeting Doom Guard every single time today, and... I guess he is going to Void Terror here, though.
I think, honestly, I think this is his best play. So here's something else to note, is Firebat's very aware that a lot of Priest decks have actually been cutting down to 1 Shadow Word Death to help fight against these aggro decks, so there's just a good chance he actually doesn't have it in his hand. And he can't see that Hyped has only got Ysera, Mind Control, and then all these reactive spells, so it's kind of an unfortunate, circumstance that you've been put into this, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's the right thing to do.
It happens. Harvest Golem, okay, strong draw, and he also has that Defender of Argus for a little bit later in the game, but...
Let me ask you this, actually. I don't actually know
Shadow Madness off the top.
Yeah, I don't like Harvest Golem here. I think you should have played the Defender of Argus, and the next turn he has Harvest Golem and Life Tap. Obviously, he's relying on drawing a minion, but how much consideration is there to actually just using your mana more efficiently?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that it seems like he's really prioritizing, like you said, Real's value on that Defender of Argus, but you do need to worry a little bit about things like Shadow Madness because of that, whereas if you defended the Knife Juggler, he'd have 4 power, no problems.
There's also the thought that next turn, even if you do get to play your Defender of Argus, as happy as you'll be to do it, you're also not life tapping, and that's kind of the point that Admirable was making, is you're trying to get more value out of your Defender of Argus, but what you're conceding is more value off of your hero power, getting another card. So you're maybe valuing that extra +1/+1 buff possibility above even another card in a matchup where they often try to basically destroy everything you have forever, and the more resources you have, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, I agree. Shattered Sun Argus is definitely good enough.
This might be looking like a Thought Steal turn. What do you think?
Well, you could also Circle of Healing and do nothing with it. So I think the alternative of Thought Steal is definitely the way to go here.
The do nothing Circle of Healing, yes, that is an option. Maybe not the best one, but it is an option. So he's going to heal himself. Okay,
this is, at least his second best play.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that if you heal yourself, it obviously lets you sustain a little bit more against Zoo. But
that Undertaker should get Defender of Argus too, so that way he's completely immune to Holy Nova at this point. If he does not Defender of Argus this Undertaker, I'd just be astonished.
Well, Cabal Shadow Priest too is definitely a bit of a threat. I guess it still is a threat. Never mind, but But the ball Shadow Priest is a threat, guys.
It's not even a threat next turn. He's going into 5 mana. Look at this, down to 10 already. And that's 10 points of damage on the board. He's going to need something to get out of this. I don't think Injured Blade Master is it.
You know, to be fair, too, that what could he really draw out of Thoughtsteal that would do him a lot of good now?
I don't know. I mean,
Soulfire?
I think he just had to, that's why I think he had to use it last turn. Yeah, he just needed to get something like Soulfire. Like maybe your opponent has a Hellfire in their deck or something. I've seen 6-0. He's run Hellfire in a couple of his Zoo decks to kind of recover the board.
I was talking about this yesterday. I really think it's time to actually put Hellfire back in there as Zoo. I think if you're going to, especially if you're laddering with it. But
2 damage ends the game right now.
Yep.
Any 2 damage
should be easy to get.
Leper Gnome
that's kind of like 2 damage.
Like 2 damage.
That's 2 damage.
Yeah. That's what he needs.
And I'll tell you what it's time for. It's time for game 2 to go over to Firebat. He takes a lead in this series.
Yep,
and this was a big hill for him to get over because this is a match that he does not want to face over and over again with this Zoo deck. Super important that he's taking this one hype down to his last deck.
Wow, and this is like dire straits for Hype Man. It is literally win or go home, and Firebat on the verge of making it into BlizzCon. A huge match for these guys, and the thing is getting through that priest deck, like you said, with Zoo Warlock must be such a great feeling because now all you need to do is win one more game, and if you can't do it with Zoo, you've got other good options as well in your deck list. Beginning of the game, and Hype needs to win this one or he is out. His road to BlizzCon is ended, and Firebat 1 game away from making it to a tournament that could get him $100,000 and a turn 1 Leper Gnome, my favorite turn 1 in the entire game. It's got to feel good as Zoo.
Feels pretty icky right now, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's good as Zoo, but against Rogue, well, he does feel icky. Well, Leper Gnome feels icky. I feel good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Do you shiv here or do you use the dagger?
That's
it's
a good
possible
question.
that he'll do
nothing.
Neither.
Yeah.
He does have access to Perdition's Blade. The thing is, though, that he can kill a 1 health minion with Perdition's Blade, even without having the combo available. So it's not quite like SI7 Agent, where you have to use the combo in order to get the damage. And so he does just end up passing. And all his opponent has is an egg. So he is actually going to be able to take... Now he really gets to choose. He gets to hold onto the coin or not. And it looks like he is just going to shiv. So this will leave him the ability to deal a lot of damage still with the Perdition's Blade if he needs to. And as of right now, as far as he knows, his opponent doesn't have much pressure.
Oh, there we go. Not a bad draw there, but you're still going to put down that Harvest Golem, obviously. Yeah. That 2/3, so hard for Rogue to remove sometimes.
It definitely will be. He now has access to the Perdition's Blade, and he can kill the front end of the Golem, but at the cost of life and potentially even both attacks.
Yeah.
That is a much more scary position to be in. That egg also is going to be a problem. At some point, he's looking at a Blade Flurry in his hand, and he needs to figure out how to best use it and play around that egg at the same time.
Yep. I like Perditions here.
Yeah, you save the coin. You still get to do 1 damage when it comes out anyway. Like we said, you don't even need the combo necessarily, and he's able to get that down to just the 1 health damage golem. So about as good of a turn as you could hope for with that hand.
Golem.
Oh wow,
this card is like nightmare. Also, when you're playing this other version of the Rogue deck again, you don't have backstabs, you don't have SI7 agent. So like if that Perdition's Blade's an SI7 agent, the 3/3 body matters so much because it's able to continue to contest Harvest Golems and just future minions in general.
Right, it's a way for you to take out minions without getting damaged yourself, and that's a big concern, is having to use that weapon to take out minions.
Right.
Poison feels like it could be pretty important.
He draws a poison, but he still can't kill the egg first and then flurry everything. So he can play the poison, coin even, but he's holding on to that Auctioneer, so he doesn't want to use the coin necessarily too soon. I figured this turn he was going to want to do something like flurry and then eviscerate the 4/4 remaining. But now with that Harvest Golem sitting there, it's a little bit more scary. It's not quite what he would have wanted. He might end up just doing it anyway, though.
Well, he can do this, and then he can eviscerate the Nerubian that comes out. So that is something, that's what he's going to do. And the thing is, he's got a pretty good turn coming up. He's got the Auctioneer with the coin still available. He's got a prep in hand, so he has a potential to have a very, very big Auctioneer turn next turn around.
Oh, wow, that draw is really
nice
good.
Draw.
That's not bad at all, And I mean, that's a good setup for the Doom Guard too.
You just saw a Blade Flurry also.
Yep. Get a little bit more damage onto your Harvest Golem. Get everything taunted up.
5 damage down to 17. But again, as you said, Auctioneer going to come out here, and this is it.
There's a reason they call it Miracle Rogue, and he needs one right now. Hyped.
No weapon up is hurting him a lot here too. Yeah. Now he's drawing both poisons.
He could possibly have a turn to give if he does have something like another Blade Flurry along with those deadly poisons. It would help a long way towards getting him back in the game, but
Harvest Golem not doing a whole lot.
This is an important draw. Shadow Step.
And I mean, I suppose, yeah, you can maybe get desperate and Shadow Step. Okay, and he's saving it too.
Okay. I do like using the Cold Blood on your own Auctioneer. It's not as good as concealing it, but as it turns out, Firebat's last card is Doomguard. That will make it so that he doesn't want to trade in with the Doomguard.
Wow.
Whoa, this is such a crazy board right now for Firebat. He's basically got this one locked down. How do you come back from this as hyped? How do you beat this with Rogue?
I don't know. Well, you used to beat it with SI7 agents and backstabs, but those cards, you know, the SI7 agent's not here anymore. Again, this is really dedicated to beating control. Like, look at what a nightmare this hand would have been if this was against Warrior or something.
Well, he needs another Blade Flurry, right? Double Deadly Poison, Blade Flurry might save him.
He's running out of time to find it, though. He's at 17, and it's looking like he's going to take at least 6 more damage this turn. At least.
This Auctioneer's got to go, though. Like,
Yeah,
I think you have to life tap and Defender this this Abusive Sergeant and your other Defender of Argus, and then put the Abusive into the Auctioneer. You can't let the Auctioneer stay.
That makes
sense.
He's
got more options, though.
Ooh, interesting. All right. I still like the Defender of Argus, though, because it makes his board more powerful overall, makes it more resilient to a second Blade Flurry, but that's scary.
Down to 11 health, and I don't know what he needs to draw here. I think it's only Blade Flurry.
Really, that's it.
Conceal's not it.
Conceal's not going to do it. Yeah, 11 health, Hype just shaking his head there. Trying to look at the play. I mean, he can Oracle for 2 cards, but what is he going to draw into that he has mana for? He'll be down to 3 mana. He can't afford to weapon in that Double Deadly Poison. Sinister Strike not doing it.
Backstab.
Does
we
Sap
may
save
be
him for another
moments
turn?
away. We may be moments away from having our first qualifier through to BlizzCon.
I think that's pretty likely at this point.
Yeah.
Looking at this board, it looks like Firebat may have this one all wrapped up. Let's see. Now, if you could sap, I mean, you would sap the Harvest Golem, right? Wouldn't want to give the Defender back, obviously. But at that point, there's 5 damage on the board. You know, look at the Warlock hand. He has 5 more. Yeah, he's got enough in his hand, even if you sap it. Yep, that's it. You know, it's the right move.
Real series, but Firebat.
As long as he sees it, I'm sure he does.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he's not going to miss this one.
Firebat is going to go through the motions.
Locked in.
Yep.
Wait, well, we've seen Lethal. Oh, no, he's got it.
He's got it. Yep. Just buff that up, throw down that Doom
He's
Guard,
counting.
and
You can see him counting on his fingers, making single, double, triple, quadruple checking.
Yep. Wow, that is
it.
Yeah, Firebat, he is going to BlizzCon, a 3-1 victory over Hype. Zoo Warlock once again this weekend, really doing work. We have our first qualifier from the Americas.
Firebat, the young phenom.
Yep,
19 years old, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Is he 19?
He's a younger guy, yeah.
I thought he was 17.
Oh, I don't know.
17?
Either way.
Well, hopefully Rachel will be able to ask in the interview.
Maybe.
We didn't have that information in
I
front
know
of
he's
us,
really young.
Yeah, that Firebat, wow, what a game. What play with that Zulak too? He got all the draws he needed. He played it out well. He's going to BlizzCon and hyped. A great run for him too. Again, this series was so hard to call going into it. I mean, both these players, some of the strongest in this entire tournament. Sad to see one go home, but it's how it has to be.
Yeah, very sad to see Hyped go. One of the strongest from the Americas.